Hey guys, today we're going to do paper 2 for foundation for May June 2025. This is GCSE Edexcel Maths. If you're someone who wants to check out the paper 1 solution, you can click at the link above. In this playlist, you will find all of the papers for higher and foundation, starting from 2025 and going backwards till 2023. So let's start with this one and see how difficult or easy this was. We have to change 3 weeks into days. 1 week is 7 days. So for 3 weeks, we do 3 times 7, which is 21. So 21 days are in 3 weeks. Then simplify 2 times 3n. You multiply 2 with 3 and then result with n. So that's going to be 6n. You don't multiply 2 with 3 first and then with n. Just multiply it with 3n. Just multiply 2 with 3n directly. Then write 0.7 as a percentage. To write it as a percentage, we multiply 0.7 by 100. To convert anything into a percentage, you will multiply it by 100. So that's going to be 70%. Then here are some temperatures in degrees Celsius. Write the temperatures in order. So the smallest temperature is going to be -6, because for negative numbers, the greater the number is, the smaller its value is. So -6 is smaller than -3. So -6, -3, then we have 2, then we have 5 and 7. So the smallest number is -6 and the largest is 7. Then write down a sensible metric unit that could be used to measure the height of a mountain. Obviously, a mountain is gigantic, so we'll use kilometers to measure a height. So we'll use kilometers to measure the height of a mountain. Then for the weight of a button, the button can be very tiny. Like it can't be bigger than like your palm. Actually, it would be less than your palm size, actually. So the weight of button would be grams. Then question 6 says 4 numbers add up to 76. One of the numbers is 13. The other 3 numbers are each the same number. Work out the value of each of the other 3 numbers. So we have 4 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. One of the numbers is 13 and the other 3 numbers are each the same number. So x, x, and x. They're the same. So when we add them up, 13 plus x plus x plus x, that equals to 76. So x plus x plus x is 3x plus 13 equals to 76. Bring the 13 to the other side, so it's going to be 76 minus 13. When you move a term from one side to the other side, it does the opposite thing. So on the left-hand side, 13 is being added to 3x. On the right-hand side, we subtract 13 from 76. That's going to give us 63. Then x is going to be 63 divided by 3, which gives us 21. So that is your value of the other 3 numbers. Then here's a rule to work out the cost of buying a number of floorboards. The cost is 55 pounds times the number of floorboards. So Toby buys a number of floorboards. The cost is 330 pounds. We have to work out the number of floorboards that he's buying. So 330 equals to 55 times x, x being the number of floorboards. So 330 divided by 55 equals to x. It's going to be 30 divided by 5, and that is 6. So he buys 6 floorboards. Then here's a list of numbers. We have to find the mode. So mode is that value that is occurring most frequently. So if you look at these numbers, the numbers that is occurring most frequently is 6. It's occurring 3 times. So that's the mode. And for the range, we subtract the maximum and the minimum value. So maximum value is 14 and minimum is 5. So 14 minus 5, 9. That's your answer. Then it says PQR is a straight line. Work out the value of x. So whenever we have a straight line, angles on a straight line always add up to 180, which means 180 equals to 85 plus 30 plus x. So 180 equals to 115 plus x. 180 minus 115 equals to x. and that's going to be 65. That's your value of x. Then give reason for your answer. The answer was angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. Then 20% of cars sold last year were electric cars. Write down the ratio of the number of electric cars sold last year to the number of non-electric cars sold last year. Give your ratio in its simplest form. 20% of the cars sold last year were electric cars. So if 20% of the cars sold last year were electric, that means to the non-electric cars sold last year would be 80% of the total cars. So 20 is to 80. Once again, 20% of the cars sold last year were electric. So of the total cars, 20% are electric. So the 80%, which is the rest of the cars, that's going to be non-electric. So we have to give the ratio of the number of electric cars sold last year to the number of non-electric cars sold last year. So this is 20%, this would be 80%. So 20 is to 80, which is going to be 1 is to 4. That is your ratio in its simplest form. Then Jamie drives his van for 150 minutes. He stops for a rest. Jamie then drives for a further 75 minutes. Show that Jamie drives for less than 4 hours in total. So he's driving his van for 150 minutes, then he stops, and then he drives for another 75 minutes. 150 plus 75, that's going to be 225. So in 4 hours, we have 240 minutes. So as you can see, he drove for 225 minutes. That's less than 240, which means yes, he did drive for less than 4 hours. That's your answer. Then a car travels for 2 hours at a steady speed of 65 miles per hour. Work out the distance the car travels in miles. So your speed is distance divided by time. Distance is 65. Speed is 65. Distance is what we have to find, and time is 2. So cross multiply 65 times 2, and that is going to give us 130 miles. That is the distance traveled during this time. Then the factory makes mountain bikes and road bikes. Each bike has disc brakes or rim brakes or caliper brakes. In June, the factory makes a total of 240 bikes. 102 of the bikes are mountain bikes. So mountain bikes are 102 in total. 75 of the 110 bikes with disc brakes are mountain bikes. So 75 of the 110 bikes with disc brakes. Disc brakes 110 and 75 are mountain bikes. 105 bikes have rim brakes. So 105 over here. Total is 240. Let's write that over. And 20 of the mountain bikes have caliper brakes. So 20 over here. So these are the values given in the question. Now we have to use this information to complete the two-way table. So we can easily find the caliper brakes by subtracting 110 and 105 from 240. So caliper brakes is going to be 240 minus 110 minus 150. That's going to give us 25. Then for road bikes, that's going to be 240 minus 102, which equals 138. That comes over here. This is going to be 5 because total is 25. Like the values in the column add up. So 20 plus 5 is 25. Similarly over here, 75 plus something gives us 110. So that something is 35. Now we have to figure out rim brakes for mountain bikes and road bikes. So for mountain bikes, rim brakes are going to be 102 minus 75 minus 20, which equals 7. And then for the rim brakes for road bikes, that's going to be 138 minus 35 minus 5, which is going to be 98. So these are your values for the two-way table. Then simplify n times n times n. So this is similar to like what I was talking about in paper 1, I think. Because, or maybe in paper 2. I'm not sure, I've forgotten. But like when you're multiplying the same variable, what happens is that your power changes, not the coefficient. And when you're adding the same variable, the power remains the same, but the coefficient changes. Now we're doing n times n times n. So that's going to be nq. This is the same as if you're saying 2 times 2 times 2. That's 2q. So if there's a variable, it becomes nq. Then solve 5k minus 4 equals to 26. So first, we move the 4 to the other side. So it becomes 26 plus 4, which is 30. Then we divide both sides by 5. So k equals to 6. That is your answer. Then it says 120 students in year 10 each choose one language to study. The table below shows information about their choices. So we have French, Mandarin, Spanish. Number of students for Spanish is 55, for Mandarin it's 20, and for French it's 45. We have to complete the accurate pie chart to show this information. So for this, we need to figure out the angles. So they've already given us the angle for French. So we need to find the angle for Mandarin and Spanish. For Mandarin, we divide 20, which is the number of students who study Mandarin, by the total students, which is 120, and then multiply this fraction by 360. Why 360? Because in a pie chart, a full circle has an angle of 360. So we have to figure out what part of that 360 represents Mandarin. So zeros get cancelled out, 2 ones are 2, that's 6. 360 divided by 6 is 60 degrees. And then for Spanish, it's going to be 55 over 120 times 360. Zeros get cancelled out. 36 divided by 12 is 3. So 55 times 3 is 165. So these are the angles for Mandarin and Spanish. What we will do is we will use our protractor to mark these angles on the pie chart, and that will complete it then. So since I don't have a protractor like this online, so I can't mark it accurately, but I'll still draw a rough angle for you to understand. 60 degrees is less than 90, so that's going to be somewhere over here. And this remaining one is going to be 165. So this is Mandarin and this is Spanish. That would be your complete pie chart. Then it says, in another pie chart, the number of students in year 11 studying French is represented by an angle of 150 degrees. Navi says this means that French was chosen by more students. This means that French was chosen by more students in year 11 than by students in year 10. Is she correct? Explain why you think this. So in the previous pie chart, the angle given for French was 135. Right now, it's 150. They haven't given us any details about the number of students in year 11. However, for that pie chart, we knew that we had 120 students in year 10. So since there is no clarity on the number of students in year 11, we cannot assume that those studying French are going to be more in year 11 compared to year 10 just because the angle is bigger. So no, because we don't know the number of students in year 11. If that was known, then we could have found out what the number of students that were studying French from year 11, and then we could have compared. But right now we cannot. Then it says there are 20 buttons in a box. There are 6 blue buttons, 9 green buttons, and 5 red buttons. Jay puts 12 more buttons in the box. These buttons are either blue buttons or red buttons. Jay is going to pick at random one button from the box. The probability that this button will be blue is 1 over 4. How many more red buttons did Jay put in the box? You must show all your working. So 12 more buttons are being put in the box. Already there are 20 buttons. So they're either blue or red. He's going to pick at random one button from the box, and the probability that this button will be blue is 1 over 4. So total buttons are now going to be 20 plus 12, which is 32. Green remains the same, which is 9. For blue and red, they're going to change. So if the probability of blue buttons is given as 1 over 4, we can figure out the number of blue buttons by multiplying 1 over 4 with the total number of buttons now, which is 32. Because they've said that the probability of getting the blue button now after the new buttons have been added is 1 over 4. So 1/4 of 32 should give us the number of blue buttons. That's going to be 8. 8 buttons are blue. So we know green are 9, blue are 8. So we can figure out red. So red is going to be 32 minus 9 minus 8, which is going to give us 15. Now this includes the new buttons being added and the old buttons. So new buttons are going to be 15 minus 5, and that's 10. So 10 new red buttons were added to the bag. That is your answer. Then it says a train travels from Derby to Sheffield. The travel graph shows information about the train's journey. Work out the speed of the train, giving your answer in miles per hour. So for speed of the train, we will find the slope of this distance time graph. So you can pick any 2 points. I picked the origin and this point. So coordinates for this point are 30 and 35, and the origin is 0, 0. So since the speed is supposed to be given in miles per hour, the 30 becomes 0.5 because it's 30 minutes, which is half an hour. So the speed is going to be 35 divided by 0.5, which is equal to 70 miles per hour. That is your speed. So the train stays at Sheffield for 15 minutes. Show this information on the travel graph. So if it's staying at Sheffield for 15 minutes, that means it's going to be straight horizontal line because there's no distance being covered, which means the train is at rest. So 4 squares equal to 30 minutes, which means half of it, which means 2 squares will be 15. So you just draw a straight horizontal line for the next 2 big squares. That is your answer. Then a village hall needs a new heating system. The cost of the heating system is £9,000. The community grant will pay 85% of this cost. The village council will pay the rest of the cost. Work out how much the village council will pay. Cost is 9,000. The community grant pays 85%. So for the community grant, let's first find 85% of 9,000. That equals to £7,650. Village council will pay the rest. So if we subtract 9,000 and 7,650, that gives us the remaining cost, which is going to be £1,350. So that is the cost that the village council will pay. Then the cube has a volume of 512 centimeter cube. Work out the surface area of the cube. So we know that a cube has all equal faces. Why? Because they're all squares, and a square has all equal dimensions. Volume is going to be x times x times x, which is x cubed. So 512 equals to x cubed. We take the cube root on both sides to find the value of x, which is equal to 8 centimeters. Now for the surface area, we have 6 identical faces, which means 8 times 8, which is the area of one face, then times it by 6 because we have 6 identical faces. So that equals to 384 centimeters square. So that's the surface area of this cube. Then here's an inequality in y shown on a number line. We have to write down the largest possible integer value of x. As you can see, the shaded dot is drawn at -2, and then the arrow is moving towards the left-hand side. If the arrow moves towards the left-hand side, that means the values of y are decreasing. So if they're decreasing and this shaded circle is at -2, shaded circle means that that value is included in the range of values, which makes -2 the largest possible value. If it was an unshaded circle, then that would mean the largest possible integer value would be -3, not -2. So the shading of the circle is very important. If it's shaded, that means the value is included. If it's unshaded, the value is not included. Then it says on the number line below, show the inequality x is less than 2, but greater than equal to -4. So we draw a circle at -4 and we'll shade it because that's included in the range. And then we draw a circle at 2 and we leave it unshaded. Then we just connect the two circles with a straight line, and that shows us the inequality on the number line. So make sure to shade the circles correctly based on the given inequalities. Then it says express 250 as a product of its prime factors. So we're going to use the prime factor tree. 250 can be split into 25 times 10. 25 is 5 times 5 and 10 is 5 times 2. 5 and 2 are prime numbers, so we cannot further break them down. So it's going to be 2 times 5 times 5 times 5. We can leave it as it is or write it as 2 times 5 cubed. Either way, it's going to be correct. Then find the lowest common multiple of 30 and 25. We can use the factor tree again, or if you want to use the division method, that's also fine. If you use the factor tree, 30 is 6 times 5. 6 is 3 times 2. 3, 2, 5 are our prime factors. For 25, it's going to be 5 times 5. So 30 is equal to 2 times 3 times 5, and 25 is 5 times 5. Remember, when we're trying to find the LCM, you will write all of the numbers that come in the prime factors. So we write the 2, we write the 3, we write the 5. We don't write all of them, we just write the different numbers that we're seeing. So 2, 3, and 5, all three come. Then we look at what is the power for 2, 3, and 5 in each, and which number is giving the highest power. So in 30, 2 has the highest power, which is 1. 3 has the highest power, which is 1, because 25 doesn't have a 2 and 3. But for 5, there's a 5 in 30, there's a 5 in 25. The 1 in 25 has the highest power, which will be 5 squared, because we have two 5s. So we write a 2 for the power of 5. Once again, we write all of the numbers, but for the powers, we see which one of those have the highest frequency for it. For 5, 25 has more 5, so that's why we write 5 squared. We don't write 5 cubed because we cannot combine the 5s from a different number. We stick to the 5s that are given in the same number. So 25 has 2 5s, whereas 30 has 1 5. So we write 2 5s, 5 squared. We don't write 1 5. So when you multiply these, that gives us 150. If you want to use the division method, that's also fine. You can use any method. If you want to stick to the Venn diagram method, any method that works for you, they're going to give you the marks as long as you're showing the working and proving your answer. Then it says Sid, Tam, and Musa share 6,900 pounds in the ratio 2:3:5. Work out how much money each person receives. So we're going to create fractions for Sid, Tam, and Musa using the ratio. Sid is going to be 2 out of 10. Tam is going to be 3 out of 10. And Musa is going to be 5 out of 10. What we're doing is we're adding all of the numbers in the ratio, which is 10. So 10 comes in the denominator, and the numerator is going to be the number assigned to that person in the ratio. That's why Sid is 2 out of 10, Tam is 3 out of 10, and Musa is 5 out of 10. Now we multiply these by the amount that is going to be shared by the three people. And that would give us their individual shares. So for Sid, we're getting 1,380 pounds. For Tam, it's going to be 2,070. And for Musa, it's going to be 3,450 pounds. These are their individual shares. Then it says here's a plan of part of Maxon's garden. There's a circle inside a triangle. The circle has a diameter of 7 meters. Maxon will cover the sheer area with gravel. Gravel is sold in bags. Each bag of gravel covers an area of 12.5 meters square. We have to work out the number of bags of gravel Maxon will need. So for that, we need to figure out the shaded area. So you will find the area of the triangle, then you'll find the area of the circle, subtract the two, and that gives us the area of the shaded region. Once we have that, we will divide that by the area that each bag of gravel covers, and that gives us the number of bags for gravel. So let's start with this. Area of triangle is going to be half times base, which is 16, and times height, which is 14. So half times 16 times 14, which gives us 112 meters square. Then area of circle, that's pi r square. So pi times 7 over 2 square. 7 is the diameter. Radius is half of the diameter. Hence 7 over 2 square. So that's going to give us 49 pi over 4 meters square. Now shaded area, that's going to be 112 minus 49 pi over 4, which equals to 73.515 meters square. Now we find the number of bags. So for the number of bags, we divide 73.515 by the area covered by one bag, which is 12.5. That gives us 5.88, which we round to 6. So 6 bags in total will be needed by Max. Then Maxon finds that each bag of gravel only covers an area of 11 meters square. How does this affect your answer to part A? So let's see if we divide 73.515 by 11, that's going to give us 6.68, which can be rounded to 7 bags now. So since the number of bags needed are increasing, so that means we will need more bags. That's how this changes our answer. Because as you can see, the same quantity is now being divided by a smaller number. So that means the result is going to be bigger than the one before. Hence, more bags will be needed. Then point C is shown on a centimeter grid. A point P is at least 2 centimeters from the point C. Nadia is asked to shade the region where point P could be. Her answer is shown on the grid. Explain the mistake Nadia has made. The question says that it's at least 2 centimeters from the point C. So at least means that it can be more than 2 centimeters as well. Not less than, but more than. So she should have shaded the region outside the circle. not inside, because inside shows that the point is at most 2 centimeters from point C. So that's what she did wrong. The shaded area should have been outside the circle. That is your answer. Then this year, the total weight of potatoes grown on a farm is 1/5 less than last year. This year, the total weight of potatoes grown is 8,000 tons. We have to work out the total weight of potatoes grown last year. So this year, the total weight of potatoes grown on farm is 1/5 less than last year. This year, the weight is 8,000. So 8,000 equals to x minus 1/5 of x, which is basically 8,000 equals to 4/5 of the potatoes grown last year. So last year, this is x. So if we do 8,000 times 5/4, that will give us the weight of the potatoes grown last year, which is going to be 10,000 tons. That is your answer. Then here are two lists of numbers. List A is 276, 400, 157, 139. List B is 530, 500, 270, x, 440, and 320. Mean of list A is to mean of list B is 3:5. We have to work out the value of x. So let's first find the mean of list A. You add up all the numbers and divide it by the number of values, which is 4 in this case. That's going to give us 243. Then we do the same for list B. Add up all the numbers. And divide by the total number of values, which is 6. That's 2,060 plus x over 6. Since mean of list A is to mean of list B is 3:5, so let's use this ratio to figure out the value of x. So 3:5. So list A is 243 and list B is 2,060 plus x over 6. We need to see what can we multiply to 3 to make it 243. So if we divide 243 by 3, that gives us 81. So that means 3 times 81 is 243, which means 5 times 81 gives us the mean value for list A. So 5 times 81 equals to 2,060 plus x over 6. That's going to give us 405. So 405 equals to 2,060 plus x over 6. 405 times 6 equals to 2,060 plus x. So 2,430 equals to 2,060 plus x. 2,430 minus 2,060 gives us 370. That is your value of x. So in this question, they mixed up mean values and ratios, but overall it was quite simple. Then we have right angle triangle. So ABC is a right angle triangle. They have given us two lengths and we have to find an angle. So for this, we'll use SOHCAHTOA. So in SOHCAHTOA, we see what information is given to us. Since we have to find this angle, 4 becomes the adjacent because adjacent is the line on which the angle lies. And then this is your opposite. So since we have the opposite and adjacent, we have to find the angle. We'll use TOA, tangent. So tan of x equals to 7/4. So x equals to tan inverse of 7/4, which is going to give us 60.3, correct to 1 decimal place. That is your answer. Then metal rods are made from steel with density 8 grams per centimeter cube. Each metal rod has a volume of 1,500 centimeter cube. The maximum mass of metal rods that can be put on a trolley is 300 kg. Work out the greatest number of metal rods that can be put on the trolley. So let's figure out the mass of one metal rod first. So density equals to mass over volume. So mass is density times volume. So that's going to be 8 times 1500, which equals 12,000 grams. So since the maximum mass is given in kgs, 1 kg is 1000 grams. So 300 kgs times 1000 is going to give us 300,000 grams. So for the number of rods, we divide the maximum mass by the mass of one rod, which is going to give us 25. So we can only put 25 rods on this trolley. Then sketch the graph of y equals to x squared plus 2. You need to remember that y equals to x squared is this. This is your graph. So if something is directly being added to y, like x squared, that means the graph is shifting 2 units up. We're adding 2 to y. So if we shifted 2 units up, it's going to be like this. So this is y equals to x squared plus 2. If it was shifted 2 units down, it would be like this. This would be -2. This is 2. So this is y equals to x squared minus 2. If you're someone who struggles with understanding the transformation of graphs, you can check out the link above because I've already made a video about this in detail, which uses several past paper questions and will help you in understand this topic better. Then the first 3 terms of Fibonacci sequence are A, 3A, and 4A. The fifth term of the sequence is 286. We have to work out the value of A. So then it says the first 3 terms of Fibonacci sequence are A, 3A, and 4A. The fifth term of the sequence is 286. Work out the value of A. So first you need to know what a Fibonacci sequence is. In a Fibonacci sequence, you're adding consecutive terms. So for example, A plus 3A gives us 4A. To get the next term, we'll do 4A plus 3A, which is 7A. So this is your third term, and this is your fourth term. Remember, in a Fibonacci sequence, you're adding consecutive terms to get the next term. So now 7A is the fourth term. Fifth term would be 4A plus 7A, which is 11A. This is your fifth term. And the question says that the fifth term is 286. We have to work out the value of A. 286 equals to 11A. 286 divided by 11 equals to A, which is going to give us 26. That is your value of A. So for this question, you need to know what a Fibonacci sequence is. If you don't know that, then you will find this question a bit difficult, unless you're able to figure out, like, what's happening. And with that, we're done with paper 2 for foundation. This is once again GCSE Edexcel Maths, May, June 2025. If you have any questions or confusions, please leave a comment below and I'll help you out. And if you understood everything, please like and subscribe and share this video with your friends. Don't forget to check out the other playlists on this channel and stay tuned for paper 3 because I'll be uploading that soon as well.